My name is Brad Bearden. I'm an implementation specialist with ACCTivate. Today I'll be talking to you about the product information window. We can open up the product information window in two locations. First, we can click on the product icon on the toolbar, or second, we can go to Inventory, Product Information. This will open up the product information window where we can open up an existing product or we can create a new product. If I want to open up an existing product, I would click on the magnifying glass icon to the right of the product ID field. This will open up the Find Product window. Here we have different filters which we can use to refine our search to find our product. The first field here at the top lets us choose which field we want to search when typing in the search bar to the right. In this instance, I'm going to choose Product ID. We also have the option to search from the beginning of that field or anywhere within that field. For example, I'm going to choose begins with and type in B. As you see, this will bring up all the product IDs that begin with B. We also have fields in the bottom right of the Find Product window which allow us to filter our product. The product type field is a user-defined field which is designed strictly for the purpose of filtering products in ACCTivate. As you can see here, we have multiple options. Product class is also a user-defined field which can be set up in the configuration manager. We can filter our products by the different product classes. We also have item type. This is a ACCTivate defined field. It cannot be modified by the customer. However, you can use it to filter your products. The include availability field allows us to show the product's availability in the Find Product window. We can filter it by warehouse, or we can choose to show all of the availability or none. We can also filter our products by supplier. By default, ACCTivate will show all active products. However, you have the ability to include inactive products by checking the Include Inactive Products checkbox. If I want to create a new product in ACCTivate, I will click on the new icon in the upper left-hand corner of the product window. The cursor will appear in the Product ID field. You'll notice when looking at the Product ID window that several fields are tinted. Those fields are required fields and will require information be put into those fields. Other fields that are not tinted are optional. The first thing I'll need to do in setting up a new product is to enter in a product ID. I'm going to create a product called Printer. The next required field is Description. Here I'll put a description of my product. In the product lookup window, we saw the option to look up by item type. As I mentioned, this is an ACCTivate defined field. You cannot modify this list. However, it is required, so every product will need to have one of these assigned to it. Inventoried is the most common. Inventoried would be any item that you want to track and ACCTivate where you want to track the quantities. Non-inventoried is an item that would be set up in ACCTivate. However, you do not want to track the quantities. An example of non-inventoried might be screws. Maybe you build an item which uses many screws and you don't want to have to create a sales order every time you use those screws. You just want to be able to add them onto a sales order or purchase order. However, you're not really interested in keeping track of the particular quantities that you have in your warehouse. Other common options on the item type would be labor. That would be used for any labor items. And then shipping is also another common item. Any shipping items you create would use the item type of shipping. For my printer product here, I am going to use inventory. The product type window, as I mentioned earlier, is a field primarily for looking up products and filtering through products in ACCTivate. As we saw, it's in the Find Product window, and it is also used as a filter on certain reports. In this particular case, I'm going to choose inventory as my product type. The product class field is a user-defined field that can be set up in the configuration manager. The product class is a combination of an income and cost of goods sold account. You could have many product classes, each using the same income and cost of goods sold account, or you could be using many product classes, each with their own income and cost of goods sold account. The income and cost of goods sold accounts are your income and cost of goods sold accounts from QuickBooks. For my printer example, I will use equipment. Sales category is a user-defined list used for reporting purposes and sales analysis reports. While the sales category field is used for reporting, keep in mind that it is not required, so it is possible for you to set up a product and leave the sales category field blank. Also, when setting up a product, we need to assign a tax code of either taxable or non-taxable. If you will ever charge tax on a product, you should assign it the tax code of taxable. The reason for that is because a customer's non-taxable tax code will override the product tax code. As an example, if I make this product taxable and I put it on a sales order for a customer who is non-taxable, there will be no tax charged on this. However, if I sell it to a customer who is taxable, then the appropriate tax would be charged. I will set this to be taxable. Next, we are required to assign a stocking unit of measure. The stocking unit of measure should be the smallest unit in which we will deal with this product. In this case, I'm going to set the stocking unit to be each, because the smallest amount I will ever sell would be 1 each. However, we can also set sales, purchasing, and packaging units of measure. The sales unit will be the units which we sell the product in. The purchasing unit would be the unit in which we purchase in. Packaging unit, the unit in which we package in. The packaging unit is related to ACCTivate's Packaging Manager module, which is an add-on module. An example of the units of measure would be if I purchase in a case and stock in each and then turn around and sell in a box. I can have all those different relationships set up, and I would do it here. If you have multiple sales or purchasing units of measure, you can click the Edit Alternatives here and add in those. So for instance, you may purchase in a box of 10 at one time, purchase in a box of 25 another, and finally purchase in a box of 30. You would set up each one of those here so that you are able to purchase in those different quantities. When setting up a product, we also have the option to choose a bill of materials. Bill of materials list is a standard list that cannot be modified. We have different options. Bill of material can be none or it can be left blank, or you can choose assembly, kit, or assortment. You'll notice we have different variations of assembly and kit based on the type of product. In this case, I'm going to choose none since this printer is neither a kit, assembly, or an assortment. Control type is also a required field. As you can see, our control types are serial number, lot number, standard, or numbered when invoiced. This is an ACCTivate defined field, so this cannot be modified. A control type of standard indicates that the product is not lot numbered or serial numbered. A control type of serial numbered indicates that this product will always have a serial number associated with it. The control type of lot number will indicate that this product will be purchased in lots. Numbered when invoiced allows you to assign a specific number per unit when selling the item. My product printer that I'm creating will be a standard inventory control type, meaning there will be no serial number or lot number associated with it. Cost method is the accounting method used to calculate the cost when creating inventory transactions. ACCTivate supports average, FIFO, LIFO, standard, and actual cost. Actual costs can only be used in conjunction with lot or serial numbered items. Moving to the right, we also have a field designated for count cycle. A product can be categorized into a count cycle. The field to the right is the count cycle. The benefit of this is that when you print your count sheet in ACCTivate, you would have the option to print a particular count cycle. That would allow you to count only the items that you want to count. For example, maybe we only want to count printers, so all of the variations of my printer product could have a count cycle of printer. When it comes time to print my count sheets, instead of printing a count sheet which would include every product I have in inventory, I can tell it to print only the count cycle printer, and it would include only my printer products, so I can count those. This allows you to break up your inventory counts into smaller groups. Next, when setting up a product, every product is required to have a warehouse associated with it. To add a warehouse, we would click the Add Warehouse button. This will bring up the Add Product to Warehouse window where we can select which warehouse. If we want to add a product to multiple warehouses, we would do this multiple times. For example, I want to add this to the Dallas warehouse, so I'll choose Dallas and click Add. Then I'll go back and click Add Warehouse again, and I will choose the Fort Worth warehouse. So now both warehouses are added to the product. And we can see we have different columns for each warehouse. The available quantity shows us what we have available to sell and activate. The on-hand quantity is the physical quantity we have in the warehouse. So for example, we may have 10 physically in the warehouse, but maybe 4 of them are committed to a sales order, so they would show up in the scheduled column since they are scheduled on a sales order, leaving the available amount to be 6. Physically, we still have all 10 in our warehouse since they haven't shipped, but we know that we could only promise a customer that we have 6 available to sell right now. The on PO column shows the quantity that we have on a purchase order that we have not received in yet. And the back ordered column shows us the quantity that's currently on back order. The special column represents the quantity that is on special order on a sales order. To the right of special, we have the average cost column. This is a unit cost of the product. This is the value of the inventory divided by the quantity on hand. The value of the product is found in the far right. This is the total value of the product in the particular warehouse. To the right, we have the cost per warehouse. The first field is management cost. This is a user-defined field. The management cost field is a user-defined field. It's not used to calculate anything. It's more of a reference than anything. You might use it on a custom report or just to have an idea of what the cost should be. Obviously, your cost could fluctuate from purchase order to purchase order for the printer product we've created. However, we might know that roughly it should be $150. That might give us an idea. If our costs vary from $150, that's okay, but hopefully we'll notice it if it gets much greater or less than that. The last cost is automatically calculated whenever you receive in the product. Since I haven't received this product in yet with a cost, the last cost is blank. However, if I were to create a purchase order for the printer and receive it in at $150, then the last cost would show as $150. Again, this is a reference point. Every time I receive an inventory with a cost, it will just show the last cost here. In the event that you use cost method standard, a standard cost window will appear where you can define what the cost for the product should be. Again, these are per warehouse. Since the F warehouse is highlighted, the $150 management cost is only for the F warehouse. The D could have a different management cost or a different last cost associated with it. Next, I will go to the Prices tab. A product may have a list price. A list price is the price at which you will sell the product. You would enter in the list price here. In this case, we'll sell it for $200. We can also define the quantity in which that price will apply. So for example, I will be selling this at $200 each. In ACCTivate, we have an ability to do various cost-based pricing. As an example, I could choose to use management cost plus percent. As you can see, the list price field turns into a percentage field. So this would mean that my list price would be management cost plus, in this case, 200%. Again, that management cost is user defined, so I could put in 150 as the management cost for warehouse F. Whenever I sell this product out of warehouse F, it would be $150 plus 200%. I have other options as well, such as last cost plus percent or amount and average cost plus percent or amount. These allow you to be flexible and make sure that you make a particular margin when selling your products. We can also set up a price code for a product. For example, I can create various price codes in the configuration manager. In this case, I will choose dealer. The dealer price for this product will be $180 for each. The price code will allow me to have the option to choose the price code on the sales order, or I can have a customer be predefined to use a certain price code. For example, I may have customer ABC be a dealer, so every time that I create a sales order with customer ABC, I want them to get the dealer price code if available. In this case, the dealer price code would be $180 as opposed to our $200 list price. Also, the price codes here can use different cost pricing methods. Again, the list price minus percent, list price plus amount, management cost, last cost, and average cost. We can also set a low quantity and a high quantity. This is good for the purpose of giving price breaks when they purchase a certain quantity. An example of using the low and high quantity would be if a customer purchases 10 to 20, they get it at $180 each. We could also set up if they purchase 21 to 30, they would get it at $175 each. In addition to low and high quantity, we can also set a effective and expiration date. The effective and expiration date would give a range of dates when the pricing is good for. To the right, you have the ability to add in notes related to that price code as well. To the right of the Price tab, we have the Substitutions tab. Substitutions tab gives you the ability to create a list of items that could be used as substitutes if the original product is unavailable or you just need to find an available substitute. To add a substitute, you click in the Substitutions ID field, open up the Find Product window, and then you select the substitution which will need to already be set up in ACCTivate. In this case, I'm going to look up the product PC20. Which is a personal copier. We're going to assume that it's a copier printer, so it will suffice as a substitute for our laser printer that we're creating. We could set an effective and expiration date for this substitution. In the event that there is multiple substitutes for a product, we can designate a preferred substitute by checking the preferred substitution box. If I were to add this printer to a sales order, it would show that it's on back order because we don't have any in inventory currently. So I could click on the substitutions button, which would bring up the substitutions window, and it would show me that PC20 is the preferred substitute for this. I could choose that product to replace printer on the sales order. The next tab is the Vendors tab. The Vendors tab allows you to associate a vendor to this product. When adding a vendor to a product, you would click in the vendor name field, open up the vendor lookup window, and add a vendor to it. You can also enter in the vendor product ID. The vendor's product ID may vary from your product ID, so you can enter in the vendor's product ID here so that it shows up on the purchase order. That way, when I send them my purchase order for my product printer, I can have the product ID that they're used to, what they call it on their end, show up on the purchase order. I can add in the lead time, the price, the unit. The rest of this information will populate itself. For instance, the last PO, the PO quantity, PO price, and the unit, the last date received, and the received quantity. As I create a PO, that information will fill in. As in the case of the Substitutions tab, I can have multiple vendors. I could designate a preferred vendor. The benefit to having a vendor associated to the product is when creating a purchase order, I can look up by vendor name. Additionally, I can simplify the repurchase of this product by going to the Inventory Management tab of the Alerts window. The next tab is the History tab. The History tab allows me to view the history of this product. Specifically, I can see items such as sales orders, sales quotes, credit memos, service orders, etc. I can also filter these by warehouse. Item to the right of that is the Transactions tab. The Transactions tab will show me inventory transactions. For example, adjustments, assemblies, assembly components, balance adjustments, cost of goods sold adjustments, counts, issues, etc. Any inventory transactions in which this product took place on will appear on this list. Within the Look For field of History and Transaction tab, we can filter our list down by typing in here. The Pop-Up tab gives me the option to have a note pop up on either the sales order or purchase order whenever I add this product to either one of those. An example of using this might be maybe whenever I sell a printer, I would like to see if they need more ink. So I could add the note, ask customer if they need ink. When I check the pop-up box, it will make it so that whenever this product is added to a sales order, this note will pop up, and it's a good way to remember things. For instance, to ask them if they need ink. Same goes with the purchase order. I could put a purchase order on here so that Maybe whenever I purchase the printer, I can be reminded to check our printer cable quantities and see if we need to order more printer cables from that particular vendor as well. If we jump to the right here, we have the Specs tab. This tab has most of the specifications of the product that we've created. We have the ability to add a picture of the product, or we can point to an external document such as a website or a file on your computer. If I were to add in an internet URL into the external document field, then click the binocular icon, it will bring up that URL. I can also define any metrics relating to the weight and size of the product. I have the ability to add in technical specifications as well. The Notes tab allows me to leave notes related to the product. I can also set these notes to be followed up by another user in ACCTivate. For instance, I could set follow up on 9/7/2013 by the user BH, and I could leave a note saying check stock levels. It'll also record when I added it and who added the note. I am SYS. Now that I've added this note to be followed up on, I can go to the alerts window and I can look at the reminders for Bill Howard, and it'll tell him to check stock levels. On 9/7, when he checks the stock levels, he can check this as being done, refresh it, and it's gone. When I refresh the product ID window, you'll see there's a check mark next to this note, meaning that BH has taken care of it. I can also set up an alternate product ID for this product. Maybe printer is also known as laser printer. I can also give it an alternate description. I can look up the product based on these alternate product IDs and alternate descriptions. Additionally, if I enter in the alternate product ID laser printer onto a sales order, it will recognize it as being the product ID printer and will convert it to printer. If I have a UPC code, I can enter it in the UPC field as well. The UPC code can also be entered into the sales order and it will convert it to the actual product ID printer as well. The keyword field gives you the ability to assign keywords to a product. This is a searchable field when opening up the Find Product By window. So maybe I want it to be printer, ink, paper are all keywords that I want to look up this product by. So when someone calls and says, I need printer related products, I can search the keywords to contain ink or paper or printer. In any case, I'll be able to filter down all the products that have those keywords. I hope you found this product information video helpful. Thank you.